Keyboards were a lot of fun on this record. Many of the tracks on the record actually feature more than one keyboard part and instrument. The keyboard player kind of played live off the floor with the band. We then took the MIDI information from that and ran it through Arturia plugins to create our dirty Wurlitzer sound, as well as the Meletron, which kind of kicks in during the choruses. Outside of that, we have a bit of vibraphone going through the verses. At the end of it, we still felt like it needed more keys, and in came the B3. We layered the B3 throughout the entire track.
And then once we got them in the mixing platform, we realized they needed to have a little bit more life. So that's where we reached for more of our UAD plugins. The Wurlitzer, for example, let's start there. This is the Whirly being played without any of our plugins. So I'll just go ahead and play that alone. And you can hear that it's there. It sounds dirty, right? But it still has a little bit of those frequencies popping out, and it feels like it needs to be leveled out a little bit. So we used the UA 1176 in Legacy, and we used this to basically even out the track and try to make it so it wasn't jumping out quite as much. So here is the Wurlitzer without the plugins. And then let's add the 1176. You feel how it feels a little more even, especially in the shot section. Before they felt a little sharp, they were kind of digging in at the ear a little bit. Now they're more controlled. So that's what we did with the Wurlitzer. Now the organ, as Ray was saying, actually it's primarily a feature of the chorus. So I'm just going to play us here from the pre-chorus into the chorus. And this is what it sounds like, again, without our plugins on top of it. So like this. Okay, and then what we did here again was to try to create evenness. Same plugin, same concept where we're trying to tame the top end, okay, and try to tame it so that it's not jumping out at us, out of the speakers. The same concept, we use the Legacy again. Let's have a listen to the before and after. This is the before. And here is the organ with the 1176. So again, especially on places like where he's raking, that is something that's now being held and glued together using the 1176. Then we had the Meletron. The Meletron did sort of a similar thing as the organ in that it was padding throughout the chorus. This alone felt pretty good. So let's listen to that by itself. But what it really felt like it needed to me to make it cut over that wall of organ that we just added in the chorus was a little bit of top end. So that little bit of air that's potentially missing from this plugin. So we grabbed an EQ from Pultec and we put the Pultec into a 16K area and just boosted that. And I ended up boosting that by 10. But I'll A/B this for you so you can actually hear the difference. So here is the Meletron without the Pultec. And then here's what we did where we added the 16K. And without it. So it just adds that little bit of warmth from the top, that angelic quality, the air, as many people put it. And it kind of makes the Pultec stick out over top of the organ, even though they're both occupying very similar frequencies. The last one that we decided we felt we didn't have enough keys, as Ray said, we added one more thing here. This was the Vibraphone now, and this is what this sounded like before we hit it with any plugins. Okay, so it still feels, it feels real, but it's got that clarity to it, right? So when I listened to this, I thought, okay, this needs to be a little bit more compressed, but it also needs to have some vibe to it. So I brought out the Fairchild, and this seemed to not only, when I drove the input pretty hard, it not only broke up in really pleasing places, but it also allowed it to compress in a way where it wasn't choking the sound at all. So it still allowed the decay of the instrument to pool out, but it tamed it in a really vibey way. So have a listen to this before, and now have a listen to it with the Fairchild. See how it kind of pools out afterwards? The last piece of the hit, it actually like tickles the ear and almost feels like it's filtering out like a waterfall. Right? And you can see I really drove the input on this guy to make it sound correct. That's what we did for the keys.